며 자신만의 길을 걷는다면 얼마나 행복할까요? 빠르게 변하는 세상 속에서 교육은 내일을 향한 가장 가까운 첫걸음입니다. 한 걸음 먼저, 꿈은 더 크게. 지금 부산의 38개 직업계 고등학교에서는 배움을 넘어 꿈을 현실로 만들기 위한 학생들의 도전이 이어지고 있습니다. 내일의 날을 준비하고 있는 학생들의 힘찬 미래를 응원합니다. 이 캠페인은 다 함께 미래로 앞서가는 부산교육, 부산광역시 교육청이 함께합니다.
아직 어렵게 느껴지는 영어. 아이들 영어는 어떻게 챙기시나요? 부산 영어방송이 준비한 어린이 영어 콘텐츠 세상. BFM 키즈 영상 채널이 여러분을 찾아갑니다. 샘 해밍턴과 윌 벤저스 그리고 모모랜드 낸시가 함께하는 BFM 키즈에서 영어로 듣는 부산 설화와 전래동화, 재밌는 파닉스 영어, 신나는 K-팝 영어까지 만나보세요. 우리 아이의 영어 실력과 창의력을 쑥쑥 키워줄 특별한 어린이 영어 채널 BFM 키즈가 여러분을 기다립니다. 지금 바로 BFM 키즈를 검색하고 구독해주세요.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
Tourism, we all know, is a vital part of any country's economy, and Busan has a vibrant tourism industry. I'll talk about that in just a little bit. But there's definitely this whole vibe thing going on around tourism in our capital, Seoul. However, there was a mishap with the 한강버스 this past Saturday evening. A hybrid power ferry carrying 82 passengers ran aground after striking the riverbed at 8:15 p.m. The good news is all people aboard were safely rescued within an hour by emergency crew, and thankfully, no one was injured. This incident, however, happened less than 2 weeks after resuming operations following a month-long service suspension because of repeated breakdowns. Will this project survive the criticism of politicians and safety concerns of the public? We'll have to wait and see. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Monday, November 17th on BEFM 부산 영어 방송. Good morning, Wavers. I hope you had a fantastic weekend and you're ready to start our Monday morning together. And we are going to talk about the mishap with the Hangang bus later on with Claire. That's coming up in hour number 2. And, it was pure coincidence. I was actually, along the Hangang River, enjoying the sunset. And I did actually see one of the ferries, the Hangang bus there. So it was real unfortunate to hear about the bad news. We'll cover that later on. Now we're going to turn to Busan. It was a busy weekend. The 20th Busan Fireworks Festival. It's now firmly behind us, and it was a spectacular one. So the Milestone Fireworks Festival, it was the biggest one yet in terms of the scale of the fireworks and the number of people. So we're talking 1.17 million people who oohed and awed in person at the spectacle. Of course, many locals came, but there were also people from out of town and even people who traveled from abroad to Korea. So the fireworks festival, along with the Kwangali drone show and many other parts, just an amazing part of nighttime tourist attractions here. And these are an important facet of the tourism industry. If you think about it, those who partake in nighttime tourism activities are likely to stay the night into the following day. The tourism industry is seen as a major force in the local economy, especially in areas struggling with a population decline. One research shows that for every 1% increase in tourism revenue, there is a 0.8% uptick in local employment and a 0.12% in gross regional domestic product. So foreign tourists are especially a key aspect of this economic impact. Researchers say that 8 foreign tourists spend about the same amount as 1 permanent resident of that area. So applying that math, if 3 million foreign tourists visit Busan, which is the city's goal for the year, they would have an impact of 375,000 residents and their spending, which, by the way, is roughly the population of Haeundae District. Well, good news. Foreign tourists have been staying in Busan longer, at an average of 6 days last year. So circling back to the fireworks festival, this is one example of nighttime tourism. But of course, the city is going to have to work on smaller, more sustainable attractions and infrastructure to keep tourists in our city, both day and night. All right, now, text topic time. Did you go to the fireworks festival this past weekend, like in person? Have you been to any of the fireworks festivals over the years? And more importantly, I think this, though. Do you tend to go to these kind of major, big festivals in person? Or do you try to stay away? 자, 여러분은 이번 주말 불꽃축제 가셨나요? 가보신 적이 있는지, like in the past years. 나는 축제 참가하는 편이다. 아니면 멀찍이 떨어진다, like from afar. Or maybe just not into it. So I want to get your take on this, all these questions. You can send in your opinions to BFM's live stream, live chat on YouTube. Go to the YouTube platform and type in BEFM 부산 영어 방송. And once you find our channel, you can subscribe, log in, and chat with our other waivers. Also from your phone. Pound 9050, shop 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. And also, you can reach me for free through Kakao Talk, right? Find us first, type in BEFM or 부산 영어 방송. And once you find our account, you got to add us as a friend first. And then you can send in your messages and photos as well. So the ways you can tune into our program, Morning Wave in Busan, if you're in Busan on the radio, 90.5 or 103.3 FM. Also, like I said, we're streaming live on YouTube right now. You can watch again at your leisure. And we are available on the BFM app and the Papang app as well. It's Monday, so coming into the studio, we have Michael Kang with Cultural Interlude. And hour number 2, we have Claire for News in Depth. And for a special interview, we're going to get our experts' take on the longest U.S. government shutdown. Yes, I know that it has ended. We reported on that. However, we're going to take a closer look at the broader impact of this shutdown and the immediate aftermath, because it's not 100% back to normal at the snap of one's fingers. So let's talk about this. This is coming up in hour number 2, and I'll be back with News Overview. It's now 7:07, and this is News Overview. President Lee to embark on G20 trip. President Lee Jae-myung will depart for a 10-day trip across the Middle East and Africa to attend the G20 summit, focusing on diversifying South Korea's diplomatic relations and achieving concrete results under his pragmatic diplomacy. President promises deregulation following Korea-U.S. fact sheet announcement. President Lee Jae-myung yesterday met with leaders from top corporations and pledged that the government will do everything it can do to minimize obstacles for South Korean firms conducting business activities around the world. Special counsel questions ex-President Yoon at detention center. The special counsel team handling the Marine's death investigation case questioned former President Yoon Suk-yeol at the Seoul detention center yesterday for a first interrogation under detention for Yoon. Unemployment for highly educated youth hits 13-month high. The number of people in their 20s and 30s with four-year college degrees who have been unemployed for over 6 months has reached the highest in 13 months, according to the Ministry of Data and Statistics. Russia and Ukraine target each other's energy infrastructure. Russia has been intensifying attacks against critical Ukrainian infrastructure, focusing on energy targets ahead of winter, with Ukraine hitting back on a Russian oil refinery. This was News Overview. It's time for Now in Busan. We have Sejin in the studio. Let's say good morning first. Hi, happy Monday.
Hello.
I hope you had a good weekend.
Yes.
So I do want to ask you if you went to the fireworks festival this past weekend or in any of the fireworks festivals in the past years.
I mean, my friend insisted if I wanted to go there, but it's not my thing. But I've been there before when I was really young.
Yes.
My father just took me to go to see them.
Sure.
Yeah, I didn't.
You didn't go this past.
Yes.
It's not your thing. Going to these kind of big events in person.
Yes, hustle and bustle of the crowd is not my thing.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you for sharing. We're going to jump into our first story, which was, of course, the big fireworks festival over the weekend. And people are still kind of talking about it.
Yeah, the 20th Busan Fireworks Festival lit up Gwanghwalis Saturday night on the 15th, and people are praising the show. Busan City said the festival turned 20 this year and went ahead on its biggest scale.
Yes, and they expanded it quite a bit this year, I hear. So let's hear about it.
They did. The usual two-part show became the three-part with a special anniversary fireworks and added more barges. And the international segment was done by Hibikiya, a Japanese company with 130 years of history. Then they showed Busan's signature 400 meters fireworks and the Niagara-style cascade of the Gwanghwan Bridge, the one everyone was captivated by.
Yes. And there was a new part of the festivals this year, right?
Yeah.
So what happened?
They added a new catchball harmony fireworks where the bridge and barges sort of exchange fireworks back and forth. They go up 600 meters above the sea and spread 400 meters wide. And they say the whole festival is the biggest in Korea and one of the largest in Asia.
Yes. And the turnout, it looked kind of massive from all the photos and, people were posting a lot on social media, right?
Yeah, because about 1.17 million people this year, the biggest since COVID-19.
Yes.
Although there were massive crowds, their management remained highly organized. Busan City, the police, fire service, Busan Transport Corporation, and the Coast Guard deployed about 7,000 people to manage risk zones.
Yes.
And although there were Busan City, they brought in LED vehicles and tall police towers at bottleneck spot.
Yes.
And this year they introduced high-altitude observation vehicles to share real-time info quickly and to distribute crowds more effectively.
Yes. So, it's a good thing having the event management capacity that our city has. So we're happy that it went well, that it was done well, and everybody was safe. All right. Sejin, I hear next up that there's been a big archaeological development in Gi장, right?
Yep. At Gi장읍성, a detailed excavation uncovered remains believed to date back to around 1425. They discovered moat heja around the fortress wall. A moat refers to a ditch or a pond dog outside the wall to stave off enemy intrusion. And the early moat extends from higher ground in the northwest to lower ground in the southeast. And above it, they found another section built between 1490 and 1530. They also found a 15th century buncheongware ceramics with stem decoration and soft porcelain inside the moat.
I see. So, by the way, 기장읍성 was designated as a Busan Cultural Heritage Site, correct?
Yes, back in 1996. Since then, several excavations have been carried out, unearthing the main wall, a gate site, moat, and building foundations. Part of the fortress wall and the moat have been restored and maintained. Officials say this discovery clarifies early construction history and could help the site move closer to being a National Historic Site.
I see. Well, thank you for sharing information on this. Pretty exciting. All right. It seems like Busan is getting swept up in this running craze. I mean, everyone's running these days, right?
Yeah, with running becoming all the rage nationwide, Busan is setting up its own convenience facilities called runner stations.
Yes.
The city will invest 500 million won into building 2 runner stations in the first half of next year, one in western Busan and one in the east.
So what are they looking at specifically?
The city is considering Darepo Station, which links well with Nakdong River Path, and a popular running spot around Suyang and Gwangalli. Each station will have changing rooms, lockers, powder rooms, as well as vending machines selling hairbands, socks, and knee support.
Oh, so that sounds really, I guess, handy for runners, but also especially for early morning runners?
Yeah, they will run from 5 in the morning to 10 in the evening with seasonal adjustment. And they're free for everyone, residents and tourists alike. They will run these 2 first and then decide whether to expand or not. And recently they've been doing customized running programs as well.
Yes. So once again, a very popular pastime these days. And of course, you're keeping fit. So good news. All right. Sajin, I hear there was a very meaningful ceremony in Busan a few days ago honoring of a Korean War veteran who spent most of his life here.
Yeah, the late Joseph Charles Shepard, who served in Korean War and later dedicated his life to local community, has been laid to rest in Busan.
Ah, yes.
The burial ceremony was held on the 14th, last Friday, at the UN Memorial Cemetery in Namgu. About 80 people gathered to pay their respect.
I see. So can we know more about his service? Because I hear it was a very long career, right?
Yes, he served as a medical supply specialist with the U.S. Army during the Korean War. He served in Vietnam War later and held key posts in Alaska and Washington, D.C. during his 41-year military career.
I see.
After retiring from active duty, he stayed in Korea, serving as a public servant for over 20 years and supported logistic and supply operations at UN military base in Korea. For his service, he received multiple civilian awards.
So thank you for sharing with us his long career. And he seems to have also witnessed, Korea, a war-torn Korea, right?
Yes, so having witnessed it, he dedicated his life to Korean-US alliance and to community welfare. He also spent the longest period of his career at a former military base called Camp Page in Chuncheon. People would call him Mr. Camp Page. Someone who worked with him at Camp Page said he loved the 감자 pancakes, kimchi pancakes, makguksu, and tofu, and Chuncheon truly was his home for life.
So it wasn't just about being active within the military, but really giving back to, it seems, local community, right?
Yeah. He invited local children to the base, served them meals, and kept supporting them with donations. 서정인 custodian of the UN Memorial Cemetery Service said his choices and service will continue to stand as a symbol of the friendship and solidarity shared by Korea and the United States. And it's an honor to lay to rest someone who deeply understood and lived the UN's value of freedom and peace.
I see. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us information about him, plus all the local news. We'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Sajin.
No worries.
All right, I'll be back with your traffic and weather.
Good morning.
Good morning.
굿모닝입니다.
Good morning.
좋은 아침입니다.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan. Major news, local buzz, and expert takes. It's all here on Morning Wave in Busan. Brighten up your morning commute with Morning Wave in Busan. Morning Wave in Busan.
It's now time for your traffic report. There was an accident on the Dongso overpass going away from the city right before the Nakdong Bridge. It's been cleared, but there is some residual backup right now. It's also congested on Gwanmun-daero from Pangnam Tunnel to Baegang Tunnel. There's backup on Luno-Samsung-daero from Myeongji Underpass to Shino Bridge. And there is congestion on the Dongso overpass from Hwangyong Ramp to the old Kaegum Tollgate. Currently, it is 11 degrees Celsius under clear skies. It's going to go up to 14 today. Across the nation, you can expect temperatures to drop from the day into the evening as cold air from up north travels down south. Rain is forecast across the western coast and Jeju from late tonight. And the mountainous areas in Jeju may see some snow. This was your traffic and weather. It's time for Top Stories. We have Haley in the studio. Let's say hi first. Good morning.
Good morning.
I hope you had a good weekend.
I had a really packed weekend. Busy, packed. Yeah.
Did you go to the fireworks festival?
I had tentative plans to go with a friend who lived kind of close-ish. And then my expectation was like it was going to be chill. We're going to leave, start strolling over at 6 for the show at 7. And she's like, no. I'm like, oh, God. She's like, we have to be there at 5 to get seats. I'm like, I don't want to sit down. Like, I'm okay with just staring at it from afar. So we're like, do we want to go 2 hours early? It's cold. So we went west. We're like, let's go to Kimhae and meet up with another friend.
I
So
see.
to answer the second question,
Yes.
do I go to the heart of the festivals? No, I go in the opposite direction.
You're like away, far away. Well, actually, I think our producer, Yeji PD님, she actually went in person. So,
Are those her
Are those your
pictures?
photos? Oh, nice. Thank you. Wow, spectacular. So for those of you who braved the crowds and went out there in person, kudos to you because that takes a
send
lot
us
of effort.
your pictures because
Yes.
we would like to see
more.
it from
Yes.
afar.
All right. We're going to jump into our first top story. So South Korea and the U.S. finally announced the fact sheets from their trade and security negotiations.
Oh, right. That's been a long time coming. So the South Korean President Lee Jae-myung announced a fact sheet on Friday, which is a summary of the points that were agreed upon in the previous negotiations with the United States.
Right.
The White House also announced a fact sheet at the same time. So this essentially lays out the results of, well, in the longer term, the 5-month negotiations that the Lee Jae-myung administration has undertaken. But then if you're looking at just from the summit in Gyeongju between Lee and President Donald Trump, 16 days.
Yes.
Showing just how detailed and maybe tense the negotiations may have been.
Yes, indeed. And by the way, we're going to have a special interview on this with an expert come tomorrow. But in the meantime, we need to know what was actually laid out in the papers.
Right. So this was in several parts, but first regarding the tariff negotiations, it says that yes, the United States will lower its reciprocal tariff to South Korea to 15%.
Right.
In exchange, South Korea and its companies will invest a total of $350 billion to the U.S. So the two countries also reached a mutual understanding that their pledges cannot cause market instability, especially in South Korea, with its maximum annual pledge to be capped at $20 billion.
Okay.
South Korea will also procure this money, $20 billion a year, not by buying U.S. dollars directly from the market as much as possible to minimize potential impacts on the currency market.
I see.
So if there are concerns of such market instability, South Korea, as set forth in the fact sheet, can request for an adjustment of the investment amount and the timing, and the U.S. will have to review this in good faith.
I see. And what other aspects should we know about?
Right. So regarding some agricultural products, there seems to have been some compromise and changes from both sides.
Okay.
The fact sheets say that South Korea will work with the U.S. to discuss non-tariff barriers on food and agricultural trade. So to this end, Trade Minister Kim Jong-kwan held a follow-up briefing after the announcement and said that he and the American Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick signed a memorandum of understanding, an MOU on the investment, with Lutnick only only to recommend, quote, commercially reasonable investment to President Trump upon talks with South Korea. So it kind of basically yields with guaranteed returns.
Yes, indeed. What about on security issues?
Right. So this was in a separate category under the subtitle Modernization of South Korea-U.S. Alliance. It says that the U.S. pledges defense through continued U.S. forces presence in South Korea.
Right.
It also says that they will work together for a transfer of wartime operational control or OPCON to get this done within President Lee Jae-myung's term, and that's been a pledge of his from the candidate days.
Right.
The two sides also reaffirmed North Korea's complete denuclearization and a commitment to peace and security on the Korean peninsula.
That's right. But, one of the biggest new issues has been this nuclear-powered submarine.
Right, and that probably is one of the reasons why it took over 2 weeks for this fact sheet to come out, because this was also outlined in a separate category on cooperation on nuclear power and shipbuilding. So the fact sheet stipulates on expanding South Korea's authority on uranium enrichment and reprocessing of spent nuclear fuel with the condition that it suits the Korea-U.S. nuclear treaty and that it is within the American legal conditions. It also clearly says that the U.S. approved South Korea's building of nuclear-fueled or nuclear-powered submarines.
Sure.
But what we should note is that it actually does not stipulate where the submarines will be built. And that's been a little bit of a point of contention in the past few days. However, the National Security Advisor, Wee Sung-rak, clarified that the two presidents' discussion in Gyeongju was always on that the submarines will be built on South Korean soil.
Okay.
So overall, experts are saying that this is a solid outline of the agreements. However, both the governments and pundits do say that the next task moving forward will be getting follow-up agreements on how to execute this, and the devil is always in the details.
Indeed, but at least we have the fact sheets, at least. So now we're going to turn our attention to the boiler tower collapse in Ulsan, where the authorities, they found the last body of the worker buried from the accident.
Right, so the last of the 7 workers was found dead on Friday, 8 days after the boiler tower collapsed at the East West Power Corporation plant in Ulsan.
Yes.
The fire authorities said that they retrieved the body of the 62-year-old worker. His body was found at 8:49 p.m. around the top part of the collapsed tower. So now with all the bodies recovered, the National Fire Agency has lifted the nationwide mobilization order.
So thus far, what do we know about the investigation?
Right, so now with the retrieval process complete, the investigation will also pick up speed.
Yes.
Especially with Labor Minister Kim Young-un having mentioned the responsibility for the entity that commissioned the construction. So we're not only talking about the very company that was in charge of the demolishing, but even to the very top of that corporate hierarchy.
Right.
So the Labor Ministry to that end said that it is looking into potential violations of the Serious Accidents Punishment Act, SAPA, which could punish even the CEO of said corporation, and also any violations to the Occupational Safety and Health Act.
Right.
So in terms of what entities we're talking about, the East West Power Corporation was, of course, at the top. HJ Heavy Industries was the main contractor in charge of the work site. They both issued their apologies on Thursday, a week after the accident. So that was a little bit late in coming. The company that was subcontracted to do the immediate demolishing of the towers was Korea Cargo. It held a press conference on Saturday apologizing for the accident. But the representative from the company also said that they are frustrated because they too cannot figure out what caused this accident. So while Korea Cargo said it will do its best to support the families and fully cooperate with the investigation, they did evade most of the reporters' questions, saying that they cannot comment on an ongoing investigation.
Well, we will follow this story. In the meantime, before we wrap up the story, I do want to touch upon the firefighters and the rescue workers on scene.
Oh, right, because this was, of course, an ordeal for the rescue workers because it was a long rescue effort. They were on the scene for 9 days, day and night. Also a psychologically taxing job because they knew where a lot of the workers were. They were even able to communicate with at least one of them.
Right.
However, because of the conditions with the debris, all the metal just entangled together.
Right.
I mean, in one case, they did have to watch one of the workers die.
Yes.
So here's the thing, though. Rescue workers are set to be undergoing counseling. We definitely hope they get all the help they need.
Yes.
But there are apparently comments online that criticize or even mock these rescue workers.
Oh.
So an official from the National Fire Agency said that the rescue workers and the firefighters did their job day and night in these high-risk situations, even for them. Please put, of course, consideration for the victims and their families as a top priority, but also refrain from criticizing rescue workers with any unconfirmed misinformation.
Ah, yes. So let's all heed that warning as well. Thank you for reporting on that story. We're going to go to our final story. It's an international one. The U.S. is planning on introducing a resolution at the UN Security Council on President Donald Trump's Gaza peace plan.
Right. So a little bit of backdrop. It's been around a month since the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas was struck.
Right.
Conditions are precarious. There are still bombings and strikes going on. However, to the larger picture of what happens next. The U.S. mission to the United Nations formally sent its draft resolution to the 15 United Nations Security Council member states last week for negotiations. So their plan is to introduce this motion for a vote on Monday local time.
Yes.
The United States has called on the Security Council to officially back this resolution, warning that Palestinians could suffer grave consequences if it is not.
Ah, yes. And what does the resolution actually say?
Right, so we actually don't have the official copy published yet because, again, draft resolution, it is being taken in for consideration and input. However, the news agency AFP saw the resolution and they published that it welcomes a peace committee which would temporarily rule Gaza, and that President Donald Trump would chair this committee until the end of 2027. The United Nations Security Council would approve the creation of the International Stabilization Forces, or the ISF, which would include Israel, newly trained Palestinian police, and Egypt as a mediator to help with security in Gaza, because, of course, the whole condition is that Hamas would give up its weapons and exit Gaza, or at least as a presence. Notably, though, what sets this apart from all the other previous resolutions or drafts is that it does include the mention of a possibility of a Palestinian state.
Ah, yes, indeed. So what are the chances of this resolution passing the Security Council?
I mean, that's anyone's game, right? But let's look at some of the parties that have said either yay or nay, even maybe. The United States, Qatar, Egypt, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, which all have interests or played mediation roles.
Yes.
Indonesia, Pakistan, Jordan, and Turkey have all issued a joint statement in support of the resolution.
Yes.
But the biggest roadblock is Russia, because for its part, Moscow has circulated its own draft resolution saying that it welcomes the ceasefire but cannot authorize the immediate dispatch of these international stabilization forces. Russia's position, very important, because as a permanent member of the Security Council, it can veto this resolution.
That's right.
Then it would signal another phase of international division over Gaza. And on Russia's side, we also have China, another veto power, reportedly told the U.S. that it actually agrees with Russia.
Ah, yes. So we will also continue to follow this story as well. But thank you for going over all the top stories. We'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
We're ready for our first song break for this Monday, the beginning of this week. And we need a little bit of energy. So here is Boy With Love by BTS featuring Halsey.
모든 게 궁금해질 때 tell me 뭐가 널 행복하게 하는지 text me 야, 내 삶은 on top 야 관계사 습관치 않게 만들어버린 너라는 백 하나부터 열까지 모든 게 특별하지 너의 관심사 걸음걸이 말투와 사소한 작은 습관들같이 난 말했지 너무 작다 내가 영웅이 된 거라고 난 말했지 운명 따윈 전부터 내게 아니었다고 세계의 평화 거대한 질서 그저 널 지킬 거야 널 baby 나는 저 하늘을 높이 날고 있어 그저 네가 내게 조금 더 나게로 이제 여기 너무 높아 난 내 눈을 널 맞추고 싶어 Yeah you make it on your boy right now Oh my mind Oh my mind Get me high so fast 내 전부 함께 하고 싶어 Oh my mind Oh my mind Get me fly so fast 이제 조금은 나 알겠어 Love is nothing stronger 너만 보이고 있어 내 boy with love Love is nothing stronger 너만 보이고 있어 내 boy with love
까놓고 말하기에 나도 모르게 힘이 들어가기도 했어 높아버린 스카 커져버린 험 때론 도망치게 해달라며 기도했어 But 너의 상처는 나의 상처 깨달았을 때 나 다짐했던 건 네가 준 이 그 후수의 날개로 태양이 아닌 너에게로 Let me fly
Oh my mind Oh my mind I need it all my life 그 전부 함께 하고 싶어 Oh my mind Oh my mind Looking for something right 이제 조금은 나 알겠어 I want something stronger That a moment love Love is nothing stronger 너만 보이고 있어 내 boy with love
It is time for Cultural Interlude. Guess who's here? Michael Kang is here. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
How was your weekend?
It was good. It was busy because there were so many things going on in the city.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God. But it was good. It was a lot of fun.
Did you watch the Busan Fireworks Festival or did you go in person?
I did but I watched it from Igide
From afar.
because I did not dare to go to Gwanghwaলি Beach. That's for the tourists, I think, in my personal opinion. But Igide is the new go-to spot when you want to enjoy.
Ah, really?
Yeah, because I'm going to be explaining about this later. But the fireworks, in terms of like the design, they changed a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's gonna change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to that.
Yeah.
So, generally speaking, not just a fireworks festival, but as part of our text topic. So, do you enjoy going to these like big festivals or events, or do you kind of like with the fireworks festival, you're like, I can watch from afar, it's okay, or do you like being at the heart of it?
Yeah, I mean, so I think it depends on the festivities. So if it's a firework festival, I mean, like, yes, as you said, I can see it from afar because it's designed to be that way, you know, like you don't have to mingle with people per se in order to enjoy the show. But like I do enjoy mingling with people, and I like the 시끌벅적, you know, the how do you call that?
Hustle and bustle.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean festivities and I need to go to places where they serve food. In these places, you know,
Food is important.
like food trucks, like food truck stands.
Okay.
I would go there and just enjoy the hustles and have delicious food, enjoy whatever's being performed.
I see.
Yeah, that's
So
my thing.
you're more of a performer kind of in person.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into our topic for today. What are we talking about?
Yeah. So I gave you a little hint
Yes.
just previously now. But last week was a very exciting week for Busan. It almost felt like the whole city turned into one big festival ground. So two massive events lit up the city over the same weekend.
Yes.
The 20th anniversary of the Busan Fireworks Festival and the annual global game show G-Star 2025. And I wanted to share with you some impressive results.
Right, and I couldn't believe it was like the same weekend.
It was the same weekend.
And like...
Hence the busyness.
Yes.
It was all over the place. Oh,
I
my
heard like
goodness.
for especially like the locals who might have been like going through Centum or like through, anywhere around here, it was so busy and people were like, stay off the roads.
It's probably
Avoid.
like the 30% of line number 2, subway.
Yes.
I mean, it must have been packed with people.
It was, yes.
Yeah, almost half of the whole line.
Right, so let's start with the Busan Fireworks Festival. I mean, you already mentioned that, we marked 20 years. Yes.
Yeah.
So what made it so special? We want the deets.
Yeah, so as you said, it wasn't just another fireworks show.
Yes.
It was a major milestone for the city. The festival lit up the sky on November 15th, beginning around 7 p.m. with a touch button ceremony. And you can imagine just push the button and it started. The sky began to glow.
Yes.
Yeah, that basically signaled the start of the show as fireworks exploded over Gwangalli Beach. One of the standout elements this year was the combination of original and AI-generated audio. The show used music from G-Dragon's Übermensch album, both the original tracks and the versions enhanced by AI, creating a synchronized audio-visual experience unlike previous years.
Interesting. But what got me was the whole AI, the AI mixed in with the fireworks. So how did the audience react to all of this?
I mean, very, very positively. So people said it felt fresh, modern, and surprisingly emotional.
Oh.
Yeah. So fireworks career... design has always been about, syncing visuals to music.
Yes.
But this time it became some sort of blending human artistry with AI processed sound that added a new layer, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I hear that there were like different segments to the whole ceremony and the festival itself, right? So can you walk us through them?
Yeah. So I'll just go through them very quickly.
Yes.
It was comprised of 3 acts. And just gonna tell you the highlights of each act. So we had the text fireworks. You know what that is, right?
What do you mean by that?
When a firework explodes, it's not just a circular shape thing, but it explodes into a text.
Okay.
For example, like congratulations, 20-year anniversary.
Like a message.
Exactly.
You can read it.
Exactly. You can read the firework.
Got it.
And they also had this multiplex firework where more than 200 shells exploded at the same time. That must have been quite a sight.
Yeah, yes.
And the opening alone lasted about 10 minutes. And Act 2 was pretty interesting because actually Busan City invited Hibikiya, which is a Japanese fireworks company founded in 1894. So that means the company's 130 years old now.
Wow.
And they did their 15-minute show for the audience. And then we had another theme in Act 3, which is called 20 Autumns. And it was divided into 3 scenes with 3 keywords: we, today, and wind.
Ooh.
It lasted 20 minutes and introduced something entirely new.
Which was?
The catchball harmony. Yeah.
Right. So Sejin briefly mentioned it, but can you go into detail? What exactly happened?
So this was one of the most talked about innovations, basically. So fireworks were launched back and forth between barges on the ocean and the Gwangaldaegu Bridge. So it's almost like playing ping pong. With explosions.
Got it.
Yeah, and it was the very first time such a technique was attempted here in Korea, actually.
Wow.
And the finale was a 5-minute curtain call fireworks sequence, a massive, bright closing act that wrapped up the night.
Yes. And just in case you are not joining us on our YouTube page or channel, we have various parts of the fireworks festival that is playing for you right now, so you get a better idea.
So beautiful.
In case you weren't able to catch it, whether in person or I think they were streaming this on YouTube as well that night, right?
Yes. On a number of platforms for sure.
So it seems like definitely it was expansive, that they really tried to add more oomph into it because it was a celebration of the 20 years, right?
Definitely. And this was basically a big leap forward. The show wasn't confined to Gwangalli Beach anymore. And this is something that I wanted to tell you. The reason why I went to Igide to watch this was because for the first time, these fireworks were also launched from Igide and Dongbek Island near Haeundae. So that allowed spectators across multiple coastal areas to enjoy different angles of the show.
I like that idea.
Yeah, and so it was easy to enjoy the show from Igide.
Yes.
So despite the chilly weather, crowds still came out in force. The official count reported 1.17 million visitors. That's 117만 명, which is for 140,000 people more than last year.
Yes. So, by the way, it wasn't just like on the sandy beaches or in the vicinity of the show itself. The seas, the water. The waters were crowded too.
Yeah, the sea, the ocean was as packed as land. So like I think there were around 170 ships near Gwangan-daegu Bridge.
Yes.
Including international cruise vessels. They were just anchored offshore just to watch the fireworks.
Nice.
And it was a full 360-degree spectacle.
Yes, and one of our listeners, Jaebong Lee, Lee mentioned that he was with foreign guests on a yacht.
Oh, wow. That must have been amazing. I'm sure you took a lot of videos.
I'm sure. And I think he mentioned also that he got sick. He got a cold. I don't know if it's, we all know by now, colds.
Yeah. I mean, there's always pros and cons of going on a ship.
Right.
But I mean, it must have been worth it though.
Yes.
I'm very jealous.
Yes.
I'm very jealous.
But I do want to get into real quickly talking about the safety and city management, but also get to our second topic, right?
Yeah. So safety management has always been an issue.
Yes.
For festivities taking place here in Korea. But this time, no major safety accidents. Only 86 medical activities, mostly minor injuries.
Okay.
Which is a success considering that there were 1.17 million visitors.
Yes.
And, there were almost no incidents that threaten the safety of the festival.
Right, and of course, thank you to all the safety personnel.
Yes.
All 7,000 of them.
Yes, 너무너무 감사합니다.
네.
고생 많으셨습니다.
So definitely, safety
For
of
sure.
utmost concern.
For sure.
Well, thank you for covering the fireworks festival in depth. We loved all the details, and now let's shift our attention to G-Star.
G-Star 2025.
That's
so,
right.
as the fireworks lit up the sky during the same 4 days, Busan was also hosting the country's biggest gaming event, which is G-Star 24. And more than 200,000 people attended. It wrapped up its 4-day run on November 16th. It was a little slightly, lower than last year's 215,000 attendees.
But still,
yes, a very strong turnout considering global economic trends and tightened safety operations.
Yes.
In terms of scale, the event featured almost 3,300 booths across both B2C and B2B zones.
Yeah, so B2C meaning a business to consumer, B2B business to business.
Yes.
Just to clarify.
Yeah.
So what did the organizers prioritize this year?
Same thing as the fireworks festival. It was safety. Yeah, that came first.
Okay.
Crowd management inside the exhibition halls and flow control in outdoor plazas were both emphasized, especially after seeing global cases of crowd surges in recent years. And you can feel that there are more people in Busan now. It's good, but also we have to stay alert at the same time.
Yes. And so one major part of G-Star, it's always like the gaming fans.
Exactly.
They want to know what's new, what's on the horizon. And so were there any big announcements?
Yeah, I mean, there were several, especially from Korea's major studios. I'm not going to go through the entire list, but I will mention that, those big names like NCSoft, Netmarble, Webzone, Krafton, each of them came up with their own very special games. Just to mention one or two of them. Ion 2, a very Korean pronunciation, Solo Leveling Karma, and more. And global developers like Bandai Namco, Blizzard, Sega, and Warhorse Studios also filled the hall with major showcases.
Yes.
So it was crazy because I was on site and it was just amazing as it feels like, every year I go to G-Star, I can see the gaming population growing.
Yes.
And not just among males, not just among guys. It's also girls, also
of course,
also women. And there are better gamers who are female, and they would come to the show, and they are like, I can see them really enjoying it, and it's a whole new culture that's on the rise at G-Star.
I was telling you off air this little just personal story, but it coincidentally was in Seoul, and then at COEX, there was a throng of people at a particular gaming store, but I had no idea.
Are they all guys? But
there were majority, I would say 80%. They were guys, and they were all with their with their phones. They're all
okay.
And so I was like,
I know where.
There must be a celeb sighting somewhere. And then what I heard from people, they're like, oh, Faker다. So Faker, the number one
Faker?
gamer of a particular game in the world.
Yeah.
He was
You saw him in person.
But they closed off the store, so everybody was watching from right outside the store. It was just coincidental. We were passing by and we saw. And so we saw him in person. We're like, oh, he looks just
goodness.
like he does on TV.
I am so jealous.
똑같아요.
Yeah, I mean, but I really respect him. I love him.
Of course.
I'm his huge fan, and
many people are.
Yeah.
And they were so excited. So it was because of gaming, so I mentioned it.
Yeah. For those waivers out there who don't know who Faker is.
Yes.
He's basically the Michael Jordan of
gaming.
Of gaming.
Of esports.
Yeah. I think he won 5 grand prizes. Yeah.
And we just talked about him a few days back, last week actually, him winning again his team, right? So,
It was big news for the gaming history. Yeah.
So in terms of G-Star and you mentioned all the global developers, but what about the B2B zone, the business zone?
Yeah, it performed very well. The B2B hall operated for 3 days. They expanded the networking lounge, placing smaller booths around it to encourage equal access for all developers.
Yes.
And that means, more chances, more opportunities for people to actually win more investment from investment companies and finding new opportunities to expand their games, right? The total of almost, around 2,200 paid buyers visited the hall. So what I mean buyers here include publishers. So those who put the game on the platform for consumers, and investors who invest in the development of the game, and international partners. So for many indie studios, this is where critical funding and publishing deals begin.
Yes.
And I also work as a composer for one of the indie games that is being developed here in Busan. And I can tell you, it's getting better and better and better.
Yes.
And we're seeing a rise in the number of opportunities in the gaming industry. And this is amazing.
Right. And gaming plus gaming music even, it's a whole thing. Because when you're playing a particular game, in the background there's always music and certain sounds. And you equate that sound, the music, with that particular game, right?
It is. And music is very important. And G-Star, whenever people come to try out our game, I would emphasize, please put on your headphones when you try this game, because
get the full experience.
Yeah,
right?
It's not just about the experience, but it's basically a branding strategy. As you said, you take a listen to this music, you know which game it is.
Exactly.
And game is basically a comprehensive form of art. It brings in a lot of art from a lot of genres, and it's a combination of that. Yeah.
Well, pretty amazing this whole weekend, right, for Busan?
I can tell you, 조금 느껴지시지 않을까 싶은데, I am a little bit 정신없어 today because I am still getting out of the whole busy
that zone.
The zone.
Right.
Yes, the zone. But I will get better.
No, we didn't feel it. You were on point as usual. So thank you for going over 2 amazing events from Busan, and we'll definitely check in with you next week.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. This was Michael Kang talking about Busan Fireworks Festival, the 20th rendition, and also G-Star, which they both wrapped up. Well, it is time to wrap up hour number 1. We have more for you in hour number 2. This is Warm is Better Than Hot by Lee Moon-tae. Enjoy. I'll be back at 8.
설렘이 아닌 편안함에 떨림이 아닌 반가움에 아쉬워할 필요 있나요? 새롬이 아닌 익숙함에 새롬이 아닌 소중함에 아쉬워할 필요 있나요? 나는 이제 그런 사랑을 하고 싶어요. 내가 타는 그런 거 말고 생각만 해도 이런 웃음을 짓고 싶어요. 남적인 그런 거 말고 편안함보다 뜨거움보다 따뜻한 사랑이고 싶어요. 이게 사랑이 아니면 뭘까요? 뭐라고 부를 수 있나요? Warm is better than hot. Warm is better than hot. Yeah. 생각만 해도 즐거운 그 단어 손잡고 걷고 싶은 산책 같은 사람. Warm is better than hot. Warm is better than hot. Yeah. 앉기만 해도 따뜻한 그 단어 평생을 살고 싶은 집 같은 사람. Warm is better than hot. Warm is better than hot. Warm is better than hot. Yeah, warm is better. Warm is better than hot. It's better than hot. Warm is better than hot. Yeah. 생각만 해도 즐거운 그 단어 손잡고 걷고 싶은 산책 같은 사람. Warm is better than hot.
Your bridge to the world. BEFM 부산 영어방송.
랜드로버의 모든 것이 한 곳에 전시장
The time is now 8 o'clock.
It's now 8 o'clock and this is Spotlight News. President Lee to embark on G20 trip. President Lee Jae-myung will depart for a 10-day trip across the Middle East and Africa to attend the G20 summit, focusing on diversifying South Korea's diplomatic relations and achieving concrete results under his pragmatic diplomacy. He is scheduled to meet with the President Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan of the United Arab Emirates Tuesday local time, and then with President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi of Egypt the following day, accompanied by a business delegation. The G20 summit will be in Johannesburg, South Africa, with Lee to attend 3 sessions discussing sustainable growth, climate change, and an equitable future. He will end the trip in Turkey or Turkey. President promises deregulation following Korea-U.S. fact sheet announcement. President Lee Jae-myung yesterday met with leaders from top corporations and pledged that the government will do everything it can to minimize obstacles for the South Korean firms conducting business activities around the world. The president held a joint public-private sector meeting in Yongsan after the announcement of the Seoul-Washington fact sheet on the trade talks, where he assessed that the government successfully defended a difficult situation. Business leaders, including Samsung Electronics chair Lee Jae-yong, pledged domestic investment and job creation amid concerns that the expanded U.S. investment may diminish their domestic activities. Special counsel questions ex-President Yoon at detention center. The special counsel team handling the Marine's death investigation case questioned former President Yoon Suk-yeol at the Seoul detention center yesterday for a first interrogation under detention for Yoon. The special counsel questioned ex-President Yoon over allegations that he appointed former Defense Minister Lee Jong-sup as an ambassador to Australia in an effort to help him leave the country to evade the investigation into the death of a Marine corporal in 2023. In the meantime, an arrest warrant hearing for 2 former chief prosecutors with the Corruption Investigation Officer CIO will take place today. Kim Sung-gyu and Song Chang-jin are accused of allegedly interfering with the investigation. Unemployment for highly educated youth hits 13-month high. The number of people in their 20s and 30s with 4-year college degrees who have been unemployed for over 6 months has reached the highest in 13 months, according to the Ministry of Data and Statistics. Ministry data also showed that in October, 119,000 people were in long-term unemployment, meaning they had been looking for jobs for over 6 months, which marks a 4-year high. This phenomenon is likely due to a rise in unemployment for those with college degrees, which could be an indicator of a mismatch between job seekers' expectations and the quality of jobs available. Russia and Ukraine target each other's energy infrastructure. Russia has been intensifying attacks against critical Ukrainian infrastructure, focusing on energy targets ahead of winter, with Ukraine hitting back on a Russian oil refinery. Ukraine's attacks are part of efforts to reduce Russia's ability to launch missiles and bomb threats, said Kyiv. Ukraine also announced that it's launched strikes on parts of Russia's Trans-Siberian Railroad to block the transport of North Korea's supply of ammunition to Russia. And this was Spotlight News. It's time for 와글와글. That means Haley's back in the studio.
Hello, hello.
Yes, indeed. For our first story, it's about drunk driving, but it's with this Supreme Court, this major ruling.
So, as one of our listeners said, our mouths are itching to talk about this because it's interesting. So, drunk driving, of course, against the law, and results or may result in your license getting canceled. Apparently now, with the exception of this being done in an apartment complex. All right, so let's get to the case. That was the gist of a Supreme Court ruling that came down recently.
That's right.
The case concerns a defendant back in June of 2023 drove 150 meters, so a fairly short distance from an underground parking lot of his apartment complex to the above ground parking lot.
Right.
But his blood alcohol concentration, the BAC at the time, was 0.12. Drunk.
Yes.
So which is way beyond the legal limit of 0.08% that would get your license canceled.
Okay.
So the police therefore followed suit and canceled his license. But the driver appealed this, took it to court, saying that the apartment parking lot and the inner roads are not roads, 도로, as stipulated in the Road and Traffic Act. Therefore, he did not drive drunk in the legal sense.
So he wanted to get off on a technicality. So we want to know, how did the courts rule on it?
All right, so the very important core of this case is how a court defines road.
Okay.
So what is a road? So according to Article 2 of the Road and Traffic Act,
Yes.
a road is an open space where unspecified multiple people, so the general public and or vehicles can pass through. So the first court said, well, the parking lot is a space where cars and
Yes.
people can pass through. It's a road and therefore sided with the police.
Right.
It went to the appeals court, which said that the apartment complex is separated from the outside. In a parking lot, there are lines not marking where cars go, but where cars are parked, marking parking stalls. So it is a mix of parking spaces and passageways. Therefore, a parking lot is a passage for parking cars. 자동차 주차를 위한 통로다. 통행이 아니다. Not only that, in apartment complexes, security guards patrol the area and therefore block entry of outside vehicles. So we cannot say that it's an open space for unspecified or the general public.
I see. And so apparently the Supreme Court agreed with the appeals court.
Right. And, let's just keep in mind, I suppose, that the Supreme Court does not rule on the ethics or public opinion. Sometimes it is a factor, but the legality.
Yes.
The technicality sometimes. So despite the police's appeals, the Supreme Court said, yes, it does seem that apartment complex roads are not technically open roads. So this again confirms that the inside of an apartment complex, especially the parking lot area, not an open road. So legal experts are taking kind of a two-pronged response.
Yes.
First, this is an important legal case as it gives a clear legal definition or divide between private and public spaces. However, they do also acknowledge and are concerned about this creating a potential blind spot for punishing drunk driving.
Right. And
Right.
As Tommy and many of our listeners probably are also thinking the same. So if a driver hits someone in a parking lot, is it still not drunk driving?
Still hurts.
So that's why there's a big question mark in the minds of people.
This is why this case is on Wager. This is why we're wagging our tongues about it.
Yes. So we're going to move on and talk about drunk driving. This particular drunk driving bus that also has a twist.
All right. So a man was drinking into the early morning hours on October 25th, but he was responsible. He called a substitute driver.
Okay.
Great. Turns out the substitute driver was drinking at the same pub.
No.
And I laugh because this is just...
For
what?
real?
For real. At the table next to the guy. I mean, what?
Okay.
What?
So, how did this happen? We want the details.
So the car's owner, the customer was
Yes.
in his seat, and then noticed that the substitute driver was driving, but the car's speed camera warning kept beeping, like it was going too fast. So the customer was like, "What's going on?" Looks at the driver. Hey, I recognize this guy because he was at the table next to him at the same pub. drinking. Apparently, how fast was this guy going? It was 100, so I'm assuming they were on an expressway.
Oh my
which,
gosh.
Yikes. 150 kilometers per hour.
150?
So the customer called the police. The breathalyzer showed a level that warrants a license suspension, which would be between 0.03 and 0.08 blood alcohol concentration.
Yes. I mean, I'm just like speechless at this point, laughing because it's so ridiculous, right?
Yes. It's
not that
funny.
there's even an excuse, but let's hear it. What was his reasoning?
Right. So the driver said, yes, he did go drinking. So he admitted to drinking, but he also said then he went to a PC room, thought he kind of slept it off or I don't know, played games and somehow got it out of his system. He was no longer intoxicated and therefore took this call.
Oh my gosh.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
He has multiple priors for drunk driving and he has therefore been booked without detention though. So he's going to go through the trial. But yeah.
And we have a comment from Layla. 제발 우리나라 얘기 아니라고 해주세요. 우리나라예요.
I'm sorry. This is
Korea.
It is Korea.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay, quickly. Up next, there's been controversy over the wardrobe prop used in an upcoming K-drama.
Right. So this is Disney Plus's remarried Empress, Taewon Hwang-woo. It's an adaptation of a popular webtoon of the same name.
Okay.
So Disney Plus held a preview event recently for its originals in Hong Kong and released some promo pictures from the show, from the stills from the show. So there was controversy online because one of the actors is Chu Ji-hoon. He plays the emperor. So he's in this full out, emperor's outfit.
The garb.
The garb, yes. And then there are some military medals. People zoomed into the medal. That looks familiar. Reminiscent of a Nazi medal.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's this white ivory medal with gold outlining, very clearly distinctive. And you can see on our YouTube, it is from far away, but it is very strongly reminiscent. I mean, you cannot see the swastika at all in the medal from the show, but still too close. Too close. The production company actually admitted that it wasn't very careful in vetting the props and costumes and promised to take measures. We don't know what kind of measures yet. It has, of course, deleted the promo pictures, but of course, that's from a scene. So are they just going to blur out that medal, edit it out? Will they have to film the entire scene when he's wearing the same outfit? That has yet to be determined, but yikes.
Yeah, it goes to show you research on any type of historical drama or derivative. Got to be careful. All right. Next up, the Italian authorities are investigating this case of, is this correct, human hunting?
Yeah, I had to read that several times.
hunting.
Hunting humans.
Okay.
So thankfully, it's not from any immediately recent years, but also still too recent. So let's get to it. Prosecutors in Milan, they've opened an investigation into these claims that Italian citizens traveled to what was then Bosnia-Herzegovina to hunt people in the early 90s.
1990s?
1990s. Yeah, I should make that clear. 1990s, which is when, we were all, well, you and I were alive during this time.
Born.
Right.
Yes.
So a journalist and novelist, Ezio Gavanseni, filed this complaint while he was doing research for a book.
Right.
And described this human safari in Sarajevo. So he says that very wealthy people who had a passion for weapons paid to be able to kill, quote, defenseless civilians from hills around Sarajevo.
How was this even possible? I mean, this is it sounds so incredulous, unbelievable. How have we not heard about this before?
But this has been in circulation, but now there is clear evidence.
Okay.
So Yugoslavia back then was torn apart by war, and Sarajevo was surrounded by Serb forces, and there was always constant sniper fire and shelling that could have hidden the human hunting aspect of it.
I see.
So the allegations have been made several times in the past, but this particular case apparently presents solid evidence, including testimony from a Bosnian military intelligence officer and said that they found the safaris in the late 1993 and then passed on the information to Italy's military intelligence in 94.
I see. So how extensive was this though?
Well, so the novelist alleges that many, without giving a specific number, took part in the practice, at least 100 though, and that Italians paid a lot of money, up to 100,000 euros, or that would be about 170 million won, so 1억 7천만 원, to do this.
Oh my gosh.
Different rates were. This is disturbing. Keep in mind, there were different rates charged to kill different people, so men, women, or children. So this shows how ruthless and cruel the practice was. So prosecutors say, though, with this new evidence, there's a good chance. So this is good news at identifying people who were involved, indicting them, and they would face murder charges.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What a story. But as all stories are for Waglwagle, got those tongues wagging. Thank you for all this interesting stories. We'll check in with you tomorrow.
Have a great day.
All right, everybody, it's time for your updated traffic and weather. It's time for your updated traffic at 8:16 in the morning. There was an accident on the Busan Ring Expressway. That's the Busan 외곽 순환도로 toward Changwon inside the Kumjeongsan Tunnel. It's been cleared. However, the expressway is backed up from Nopo. It's congested on Yeonsuro from Shili Three-Way intersection to Mangmi-goge. Also backed up on Gayadero from Daegum intersection to Jure intersection. It's also looking busy from Manduk intersection to Name Expressway, the Deokjeon ramp. Currently, it is 12 degrees Celsius under clear skies. It's going to go up to just 14 today. Across the nation, you can expect the temperatures to drop as the cold air from up north travels down south. Rain forecast across the western coast and Jeju from later tonight. The mountainous areas in Jeju may see snow. This was your traffic and weather. It's time for our special interview. The record-long 43-day U.S. federal government shutdown finally came to an end last week. And after a 222 to 209 Senate congressional vote, President Donald Trump signed a funding bill to reopen the government. So the shutdown affected millions of Americans across the country, with recent flight cancellations adding even more pressure to this situation. And even with operations resuming, the consequences of the shutdown are still unfolding. So today, we're going to speak with our expert to take a closer look at the broader impact and the implications of this shutdown and the immediate aftermath. So we have joining us Professor Grant Rear, Senior Research Associate in the Campbell Public Affairs Institute and Professor of Political Science at Syracuse University's Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs. Hi, welcome back, Professor.
Hi, it's good to be back with you.
Yes. So after weeks of an impasse, it seems the two parties were finally able to come to some sort of, I don't know if we can call it an agreement, but there was a vote. So can you walk us through how the shutdown finally ended?
Well, what happened, first of all, was that we had an off-year election in the early part of November, and the Democrats did quite well in that election. They won a couple of governor's seats that they were expected to win, but they also passed a proposal in California that had to do with redistricting. And there were some other things that were at the top of the ticket. But the other thing was they did very, very well in what we call down ballot races. These are more local races. For example, where I live in upstate New York, the county legislature, for the first time in over 50 years, flipped control from Republican to Democrat. And the Democrats won all of the 6 seats that they contested in that legislature.
Yes.
So what that did was it changed some of the calculations for the parties. And I think it did 2 things. One is, on the Republican side, I think it made them stop for a minute and say, wait a minute, some of the things we're doing are not working. The voters are beginning to turn against us. Maybe this was about the president, but maybe it's about the party more generally. Might have something to do with the shutdown.
Okay.
On the Democratic side, what it did was they got a win. They got something that they thought, okay, this puts some energy and life back into what we want to see and what we hope for in the bigger elections that are coming up.
Right.
But the way it changed their calculation was now they have something to lose. And what everybody knew was that the shutdown was unpopular. The question was, who gets more of the blame? And so once the Democrats won these elections, what I think happened was their calculation shifted to now we have some momentum. We have something to lose.
Yes.
And so we don't want to continue this too long because it might blow up in our face. Now, it was very controversial. There are a lot of Democrats that think these Democrats that did shift sides and decide to fund the government, to open the government back up again, shouldn't have done that. They should have kept holding out. I don't think that's correct, but it is a view that is commonly held among many of the Democrats. And some of the Democratic leaders, like Senator Chuck Schumer, took a lot of flack, taking a lot of flack currently on this, and so it's going to be a question of how it works out in the future.
Yes. So when we look at the vote, 222 to 209 in the House of Representatives voting to pass this so obviously if you do the math, Democratic members joining, kind of breaking rank and joining the other side. So why so? Do you think that it was more of an ideological break, or they just couldn't, stand to see the government shutdown go any further? What was it?
Well, like a lot of political decisions, it's complicated, and it's probably a mix of everything that you said, plus some other things.
Okay.
So I think some of those Democrats that shifted, I think they were thinking this is the right thing to do. The shutdown's been going too long.
Okay.
The other thing that happened was the Republicans did promise the Democrats to have a standalone vote on the issue of the subsidies for the health care insurance. And that was the stated reason why the Democrats held out in the first place. So they didn't get exactly what they wanted, but they got something of what they wanted. And then I think the other thing is the Democrats that shifted were in what we call marginal districts. What that means is those are districts that could theoretically elect a Republican or a Democrat. It kind of depends on the election and who the candidates are. They're not super safe districts. So there are some districts, for example, in Manhattan, those folks are going to elect Democrats, even if a ham sandwich was running for the seat on the Democratic line.
Right.
I'm serious.
Yes.
And so they don't have to worry about that. They can hold out and still vote against. But some of these members of the House and the Senate, if you look at the senators that turned and voted, they were in very, very marginal competitive states or districts. So they were making the calculation of this could actually bite me when I run next time. And I think I need to kind of do the more statesman or stateswoman thing and end this shutdown.
Yes. I do want to turn our attention, though, Professor, to the federal departments and programs that face the most urgent work now that the shutdown is over. I mean, what happens? Does the funding kind of rush in right away, or what's the process?
Well, theoretically, yes, it rushes in right away, and there will be some urgency in some departments that will be greater in others. For example, the food assistance, the SNAP benefits.
Yes.
But it takes time. You can't turn something as large as a government around on a dime, and it's been shut down, as you noted, for over 40 days. So that will take time, and particularly where we will see, I think, some lingering effects, although it's beginning to get better as we're speaking, is regarding air travel.
Yes, so we've been hearing about the thousands of flights that have been canceled or delayed with, the air traffic controllers, calling in sick, operations disrupted. So what does the recovery look like for the aviation sector and other, related services?
Well, the timing is bad because we are coming up on Thanksgiving next week. Is big holiday here in the United States, and a lot of people travel for it. But what's happened is because the security workers at the airports and because the air traffic controllers are deemed essential employees, they continued to work during the shutdown, but they weren't being paid. Now they'll get their back pay, but they weren't being paid. When you have moments like this, you create disruptions for those folks. And so some people will say, oh, I was thinking of retiring, or maybe I was thinking of quitting, looking for another job. I think I'll do it now because this is really not pleasant and I'm not getting paid. Or I'm under a lot more stress when I'm at the job. And so it creates a disruption in the staffing. Then when you reopen the government, a lot of these folks are kind of worn out. They're exhausted. And so now they call in sick once the government is funded again. So now you have continuing disruptions of staffing. That's on the staffing side. Now you have the demand from the travelers. You got to bear this in mind. What you've had is people thinking about air travel. Well, the government shut down. I'm hearing that flights are being delayed and canceled right and left. So I'm going to wait to make my plans. Or maybe I'll cancel my flight. And then the airlines have responded to that by canceling flights and trying to figure out where are we going to get the greatest demand. So it's the passengers as well as the airlines that have to respond to this. And they create some of the disruption. And it's multiplied and compounded by the fact that the essential staffers are more volatile in terms of getting a consistent staffing. And so that just creates ripple effects all through the system, and it takes time for those to work out.
Indeed, indeed. And Professor, I'm also curious, this funding bill that was just signed, is it a stopgap measure? Until what date is the funding going to go through? Is there going to be maybe another shutdown?
Yeah, so you've hit on the big problem here.
Yes.
The government is funded until January 30th. That is not terribly far from now.
Right.
Here's what I think. I think that between now and then, there will be a consideration of this subsidies for the health insurance premiums through the exchanges that were created by Obamacare a couple decades ago, or a decade and a half ago. And what I would hope and what I would sort of half expect is that there will be some sort of compromise that will be forged on those. Democrats won't get the full subsidies that they wanted, but there will be something for those who genuinely need them. One of the problems in the current, or the system that as it existed with those subsidies, was that there were people who were quite relatively well off that were getting government help that normally probably wouldn't get government help. It's going too far into the weeds to explain how that works, but that's the gist of it. And so I think there's going to be a compromise that will maybe take those folks out and give. But anyway, I think the sense will be, we don't want to go through this again. And if we do go through it again, the voters are going to get very angry. And it won't be clear who they're going to be angry at, but they're going to get angry and they're going to remember this in November of 2026. I think that is going to be the calculation. So I would expect to see a continuing resolution before January 30th that would fund the government for a year. But I've been wrong before, and I didn't think that the shutdown was going to last as long as it did. I predicted that it would not set a record and it would not go this long. So there you go.
And in terms of the politicians, of course, jockeying position for position after the shutdown, whether they be Republicans, Democrats. You already mentioned the elections next November. So how are they dealing with the aftermath? Because I remember during the shutdown, the Trump administration very succinctly and distinctly was calling it the Democratic government shutdown, putting the ball squarely in the court of Democrats. So what's going on now?
Well, so Republicans, some of them are going to be saying, particularly to the constituents that are on their side, hey, we won and we didn't have to give a thing. We just held out and we won. The Democrats didn't win a thing. Now, the Democrats are going to come back probably and say, look, we got this vote on the subsidies. And if there is some compromise worked out on that, then the Democrats will say, look, if it wasn't for us holding out, we would have never gotten this in the first place. And so I think both sides are going to declare victory. Hopefully they will, to continue the famous quote, they will depart the field and not fight this shutdown fight again. But that's what I expect. But the people that are left in a tough spot are the more moderate Democrats that, you're getting my own personal view here, did the right thing in ending the government shutdown. They are taking a lot of criticism right now for that, and they're being ridiculed in the media. They're being ridiculed on late night talk shows, almost all of them.
Yes.
And the question that's not being asked of these folks is, what would you like to see? Would you like to see the shutdown continue for another month, for another 2 months? What's the alternative that you have in mind?
Yes.
And I think these Democrats and Republicans would be well served to be making that argument back. But anyway, it's early days, so we'll see.
Well, we'll keep an eye on the situation, of course, but thank you so much for thoroughly explaining the entire process. And of course, we will keep tabs on this story. Thanks for joining us today, Professor.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me back on.
Absolutely. Once again, everybody, this was Professor Grant Rear. We talked about, of course, the longest U.S. federal government shutdown. It has ended, and we also talked about the aftermath. Dust is still settling. So, yes, we're going to take a song break, take a little breather. Here it is. This is Worth It by Ray.
I'll tell you how it feel. If my body was a boat, could you steer that sailor? Make it feel like it's a 1960s Hollywood trailer. Classic like cars, classic like Elizabeth Taylor. Need you to romance me, I need a give and not a take. What I need is 'cause I could love you if I really wanted to. You could be my glass of wine. Sunset, I mean exhale, on exes. Baby, 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 would you make it alright? Or maybe that much better. If you wanted, you could make it all worth it, worth it, worth it, worth it. Ooh, when I see the sunrise and you make it that much better. So I hope you're gonna make it all worth it, worth it, worth it, worth it. Ooh, worth all of the time I'm about to give you, baby. So I hope you're gonna make it all worth it, worth it, worth it, worth it. Ooh, give all of the time I should be working on it. So I hope you're gonna make it all worth it, worth it, worth it, worth it. This is the night. Something about it's making me cry. My soul it did decide. Feel my body shiver in your own light. I need you to let me have the time of my life. Check your credentials, self-residentials. Ooh, baby boy, you got so much potential. I could love you if I really wanted to.
Welcome back, everybody. So today's sex topic is all about any type of huge festival or event. By the way, did you go to the fireworks festival? And have you ever been? Do you tend to go to these big festivals, or I try to stay away kind of person? So looking at some of your responses. And by the way, Taebong님, he actually sent in these amazing photos of his experience on a yacht watching the fireworks festival. So thank you for sharing a little personal bit with us. We'll try to see if we can get them up later on, the images. If not, it's pretty amazing when you're up that close and you can kind of sense the bobbing of the yacht, in the waters as he watched the fireworks. Then he says, didn't watch this year's event, but, since it was featured on many platforms, including NutTube, he might catch that one. And Jenny says, yes, I've been to the fireworks right in front of the beach and the oceans. And she says that it was gorgeous, like bright twinkling above the dark sky. And in terms of other messages, 고수님 says, 이번 불꽃축제 TV로만 시청했답니다. Because he was feeling under the weather. So I hope that you get better soon. He's been struggling with a cold, it seems, for a while. So he's only maybe not feeling so well right now. So, of course, well wishes sent to you and also anybody else suffering from a cold or the flu. So, yes, definitely be careful out there. People are catching viruses. We see so many people with masks on because it is that time of year, cold and flu season. So, anyhow, let's get to Claire and news in depth. It is now time for News in Depth. We have Claire, our BFM newscaster, in the studio. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So our text topic today, it's all about the Busan Fireworks Festival. Have you ever seen it in person? Did you go this weekend?
Not the Busan one. I went to the other ones.
But other ones, but not the one here locally.
Not yet.
Do you enjoy those kind of big events like in person?
Not at all.
So honest. But you know, a lot of people like watching kind of from afar.
Yes.
And then just still enjoying, but not like going, mingling and with the huge crowds.
In the huge crowd.
Right.
I saw photos and the videos of last weekend.
A lot of people. 정말 많았어요. 1.17 million, they say. Yes. Well, let's get into some of our stories that you've prepared for us. So, this river bus incident, I mentioned it briefly during the opening of our show today. But, what really happened? Because at first it looked kind of alarming. And anytime we hear ferry...
Yes.
Or incident, mishap, we all get really nervous, right?
Yes.
Collectively. So what happened?
So it definitely caught attention. On Saturday around 8:24 p.m., a Han River bus heading toward Jamsil Pier suddenly slowed and then got stuck after passing over an unexpectedly shallow area. It wasn't dramatic visually, no tilting or flooding, but the hull caught the riverbed and it just wouldn't budge.
Right. And so from what I didn't understand, this was like a full passenger boat.
Completely full, 82 people on board, but the response was quick. Police, fire crews, and water rescue teams surrounded the vessel, moved passengers off, and shuttled everyone safely to Jamsil Pier. No injuries and no structural damage confirmed so far, which is the good part.
Yes, so that's definitely of utmost importance, the safety of the passengers. The confusing part was the city's explanation, though. First, it was there was no route deviation. And then secondly, they kind of said, yes, there was a route deviation. So what was it? What changed?
Exactly. So the story evolved right after the incident. Officials insisted the boat stayed in its designated lane and that the problem was early low water conditions plus extra silt. But by yesterday, after reviewing tracking data, the city admitted the vessel had left the set channel, turning earlier than usual and crossing a beacon that marks shallow danger zones.
So I guess in the beginning, they thought it was all part of nature with it is a river. But now it looks like it might be both nature and navigation issues.
That's right. Investigators are now looking at how early darkness, limited visibility, and unexpected sand buildup might have influenced the pilot's turn. And because this is a peak low water season arriving a bit earlier than expected, the city is also checking whether sediment changed faster than their forecasts.
I see. In the meantime, what's happening? Because are there still disruptions?
Yes. Through tomorrow, Han River buses will skip Duksam Pier entirely while divers and dredging crews clear debris and check depth.
Okay.
Other routes like Magok and Yeouido are operating selectively based on the city's verification of safe plan depth.
And the thing is, politically, it did not stay quiet. It was pretty loud.
Not at all. The Prime Minister ordered a full cause investigation and a safety review. The city apologized and defended the response, saying all emergency procedures worked and passengers were evacuated within an hour. The opposition is urging a full suspension of the service, while the city is calling that an exaggeration.
Yes. So for people who might be commuting or, for tourists as well, I mean, the service is running. I guess there's going to be detours and lots of inspections going on.
Indeed. And we should get more clarity on the pilot's route decision and the river bad conditions later this week.
I see. All right. Thanks for covering this story. And now we're going to head from the waters into space because the next nudie rocket launch is less than 2 weeks away. And Claire, you keep saying like this one might be the most interesting launch Korea's ever done. So
I really think so.
Okay.
It's scheduled for 1:04 a.m. On November 27th, which sounds like the kind of time only astronomers enjoy, but there is a reason for it.
Okay.
The main satellite's Aurora mission absolutely depends on that specific orbital timing.
So if they launched, let's say, anytime before, like at midnight or maybe an hour later at 2 a.m., it just wouldn't work?
Exactly. It's not just launch it sometime at night. The satellite has to pass a particular point in its orbit at 12:40 p.m. solar time every single day.
Right.
That's when the sunlight angle creates the right conditions for observing upper atmosphere auroras.
Okay.
To hit that exact point, you go backwards through the orbital math, and the answer you land on is 1:04 a.m. in Kohung, not 1 a.m., not 1:10, almost down to the minute.
It's so specific. So it's like setting your alarm clock, and this time it's for science.
It's actually like my alarm clock. Exactly. If the weather delays the launch by even half an hour, they have to pick an entirely different day. It's that strict.
Okay. So the payload this time, you said it's a full house, right?
Full house and then some. There's the main satellite, which would be 516 kilograms, and then 12 smaller satellites squeezed around it.
Ooh.
And what's fun is how different they are.
Okay.
It's not 12 versions of the same thing. It's almost like Korea's space industry wanted to show off everything it can do at once.
I see. Well, let's go through some of the smaller ones. I mean, what are companies trying to test in orbit?
Well, there are so many things. One company, 우주로텍, is sending a satellite that actually has a thruster, and after testing rover parts, plans to intentionally deorbit itself. That's basically a demonstration of how do we clean up space junk. And that's becoming a global priority these days. So if they pull this off, it's big. Then there's Space Rintek, whose satellite is basically a tiny floating laboratory. It will crystallize a protein used in a major immunotherapy drug because crystals form differently in microgravity. They're hoping this leads to purer, more uniform structures. If it works, it lays the foundation for, believe it or not, drug manufacturing in orbit someday.
Wow, just the thought of that. That's pretty amazing. Doing like biotech experiments on a CubeSat, right?
Yes, and it's happening right now. We also have Earth imaging satellites, like the ones from CosmoWorks, and a debris tracking satellite from Quaternion that will scan coastal waters around Jeju and the southern shore. So you've got environmental missions, robotic tests, pharmaceutical experiments, all on one rocket.
Wow, so it seems like they're doing and testing a lot of things. Some people might say even like chaotic, but like maybe in a good way. Like, since we're talking about festivals or like a festival of different ideas.
That's actually a great way to put it. This is a real preview of Korea's new space era where private companies are not just buying data from satellites, but actually launching their own hardware and validating their technology in orbit.
I hear that universities are also getting in on this, sending their own satellites this time, right?
4 of them, and they're ambitious. Probably the most ambitious we've ever seen from Korean universities. So Seoul National University is sending up twin satellites that start attached, separate in orbit, perform atmospheric experiments. Then, and this is the wild part, they attempt a thruster-less docking maneuver using nothing but the difference in air drag.
Okay, I'll be honest, did not understand all of that, but it sounds like, a
The
very...
smart students will do everything for us.
Yes, like a genius idea because, they are the geniuses, right? We are not. Right?
Yes.
So what about past university satellites? Maybe some of them haven't had the greatest of luck, right?
Oh, yes. Korea has launched 15 student-built CubeSats so far, and none completed 100% of their mission plans. Some sent signals, some lasted a bit, but none were full successes. So there's an emotional element here, too. Every student team is hoping this launch finally breaks that record.
So here's hoping that this isn't just like the fourth nudie launch, but it'll be more of a mini ecosystem going up, like all on one rocket, though.
Exactly. And if it goes well, Korea proves three things at once.
Okay.
That it can launch reliably, that it can build competitive satellites, and that it has a growing private sector capable of working at a global standard.
Yes. So here's hoping for the very best, and thanks for going over the logistics and the details of this launch. And now we're going to sharply pivot from space engineering to alliance management, because Washington has notified Seoul that a key exemption on U.S. weapons sales is ending. And this could have some major cost implications. So what are we talking about?
So this is about something called non-recurring costs, or NC. It's basically the R&D bill, the design, testing, and development cost that the U.S. government invests in a major weapons system.
Okay.
Normally, under American law, when those weapons are sold abroad, the Pentagon has to recoup part of those sunk costs.
And Korea usually, up to now, didn't have to pay this, right?
Correct. Korea has long been the premium ally category, treated like a NATO equivalent partner, meaning the U.S. often waived those NC charges. That made some large U.S. systems around 5% cheaper, which is a big deal when you're talking about multi-billion-dollar defense procurement.
Yes, basically now Washington is saying that those waivers are ending.
Yes, according to several people familiar with the talks, the U.S. informed Korea, also to Japan, Australia, and some NATO allies, back in August that the NC exemptions would be withdrawn, which means from now on, Korea will be charged those extra development cost fees.
Yes, and this comes just after Korea agreed to purchase a massive amount of U.S. equipment.
Exactly. During the late October summit in Gyeongju, President Lee Jae-myung and Donald Trump confirmed that Korea would buy $25 billion worth of U.S. weapons by 2030. Now imagine applying NC charges to every eligible purchases in that entire package. It adds quickly.
So I guess the U.S. is basically saying you have to up the ante. You have to chip in more financially.
Yes, precisely. It's consistent with a more transactional approach, redefining cost-sharing expectations inside long-standing alliances.
Right. And then we have the second half of this story, the comments about nuclear submarines. So these were kind of unusually direct.
Very direct.
Yes.
Admiral Daryl Cuttle, the U.S. Chief of Naval Operations, gave a rare, frank assessment while in Seoul. He said it's natural to expect that if Korea builds nuclear power submarines, those submarines will contribute not only to deterring North Korea, but also to deterring China.
Yes, and that's a pretty strong statement, especially given how sensitive the whole China issue is for Seoul and for the U.S. as well.
Yes, indeed. Korea tries to balance its security partnership with the U.S. and its economic ties to China. So hearing the U.S. Navy say publicly that Korean nuclear subs fit into a broader regional strategy, that's a noticeable shift.
Right. So did he give any reasons for this particular view?
Well, he did. He said the U.S. wants to work with allies to manage competitive threats in his term, and that Korea shares many of these concerns. He also emphasized that Korea's submarines are sovereign assets, meaning Korea alone decides where and how to use them. But the expectation is clearly stated. They would be part of the Indo-Pacific deterrence architecture.
Yes. So once again, comments from an admiral, the U.S. Chief of Naval Operations. And we're going to call it a wrap on all of our stories today. But thanks for going into detail these 3 stories. And of course, we'll check in with you next week. Thank you, Claire.
My pleasure. I'll see you next week. Bye.
All right, everybody, it's time to wrap up our Monday morning together. So, Mondays are always kind of tough, right? Well, thank you for joining us today. This is Yesterday Once More by the Carpenters. Bye, everybody.
Waiting for my favorite songs. When they played, I'd sing along. It made me smile. Those were such happy times, and not so long ago. How I wondered where they'd gone. It's yesterday once more. Looking back on how it was in years gone by, and the good times that I had, makes today seem rather sad. So much has changed.